What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Montana Method Podcast one more time. As always, live from Miami, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., your host of the Montana Method Podcast from an undisclosed location. Got the Scarface palm trees in the back, the new look for this season. And today I have a very special guest all the way from the fabulous Big Apple, one of my very few privileged virtual guests on the Montana Method Podcast. A good friend of mine who showed me a lot of love when I was up and coming, when I first published the book. And I'm going to show the love right back. He's an amazing talent, blowing it up on Instagram. Super funny guy. Please welcome Rick H from the Rick H Show.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
Thank you. I appreciate the love. I've been loyally following the pod because you sent me the book, which I actually read over. We went through the book in our interview, and I read over it. And I'm gonna make you a promise that when I'm in Miami, you'll be the first to know when I'm down there, so we can do something else together.
Perfect. Yeah,
which
man.
is funny because I'll be with
Don
Dinero this weekend. So,
dope. How'd that go? How's he doing?
No, it's tomorrow is his birthday. We're gonna be with him tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we're going to Cuban parade in Jersey, Union City. So
dope.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Super dope, man. Yeah, he's the OG of the Cuban music, man. He started it. He started the Cuban urban music movement for everybody. There was nothing before him. He really is the OG.
And now Richy, man. Shout out to my brother Richy Rich.
Bro, that's my brother, man.
Enough about Richy.
Bro, his music. It's not because he's my friend. He is a monster.
Yep, the quality.
Monster, bro. He just came out with the album Yuma. I don't know if you
yes, I have. Yes, of course I have. Of course I have.
Super quality, man. Yeah. I'm blessed to have him.
He's just a fantastic artist. He has his own sound and his own personality, his own and this aura about Richy and the way he carries himself is just perfect.
Super original.
You wish every artist would be that way. So much love
because
to
we live in an age where everybody's copying everybody, and it's about trends and what's catchy and what's hot. And he has a sound that's original to him. It's original to where he's from, his roots. It's him. It's just fresh. It's a fresh. Yeah, man. Yeah. You can tell as soon as you pop that track in, you put in your Spotify, your Apple Music. Whoa. Yeah, this is Miami. This is definitely Miami.
So yeah, that's how actually we met. Richy reached out and he sent me some stuff from Nelson. I was like, man, I would love to have Nelson on the show. And we right before the book came out, I think it was. That's when.
Yeah, it was probably a few weeks before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, never since then, me and Nelson been sending each other messages and stuff. It's my pen pal in Miami.
Yo, you've been blowing up on Instagram, dog. Bro, that video of you laying down with the gut out.
I just
that had me tripping.
I've been going through some, I went through a lot of changes last year. I purchased a home. I became a dad for a second time. I had my daughter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then the content, I wanted to do content. I'm not trying to be like fancy with the shades on. It's just, I'd rather wear the shades right now. So the content I want to put out is something that reflects of who I am. And the show now is people getting to know me personally more about my life. And you're going to learn something about my guest. And we're also going to infuse comedy into it because it's important to get the message from what the subject matter is. But it's also important to make sure people laugh and have a good time. So that's what the changes we've been going through. I signed to a network last year. I didn't re-sign with them because now I built my own network. I partnered up with two amazing dudes, and we started producing top-notch podcasts. The first one was Chicklin Maleni's podcast, which is called That's Your Reality. and we just literally finished signing the last two that we needed to do a couple weeks ago, and we're gonna be making some announcements soon and some press releases on that. So can't wait. I'm excited for that.
Dude, super dope, man. I'm happy to see that. And you actually, since the last time we spoke, you've gotten a few awards for
Mhm.
Latino podcast. So
I
congratulations
have,
on that.
and we have another 6 nominations this year, but it's more for me. I want to just try to have fun and create
Mm,
content. Excuse the water if you hear some water in the background. I hope not. Um, it's for me is more of having fun and creating the content, having a good time. I'm currently at episode 199. I'm planning out 200. I'm probably gonna take a week or two before we do episode 200 and try to celebrate it and take it in, because I think sometimes it's important for us to stop, slow down, and enjoy some of these moments. I didn't enjoy 100. I enjoyed 50. I didn't enjoy 150. But I'm gonna really take this one in because I have an exit plan already. So the Rick A Show has, after we get to 200, has one more 100 episodes to go, and at 300, I'm gonna close it down and begin to work on the next project I got lined up.
awesome. Awesome. That's sometimes we get so caught up in the daily ins and outs that we don't have a long-term vision. And that's something I always try to keep in mind whenever I'm doing things, and because I'm a person who can focus. I can delay gratification like no one on this planet, and I can really focus and grind and not focus on like the little things that are happening and the things that kind of
Mhm.
let normal people down. I'm very good at focusing on the end goal. So it's fantastic to hear that you already know what you want in the long run. I myself have a pretty big vision drawn
Pretty
out for
sure
what I want to do with the podcast. And
yeah,
yeah, definitely. So, and
it's
I think I already told you.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I had mentioned I was writing a comic book last time we spoke or whatnot, and
Hmm.
I'm about to wrap that up. I have the artwork and I got some stuff going on. I got plans to turn that into like a mainstream thing, TV show, stuff like that. So everything stems from my writing, my book, my comic book, everything, you know. So it's big plans. It's important to always have that long term vision.
Yeah, it is, and also like so. I tend to I like to read, but I like to read biographies because I like to know
Mm,
the tick, the how, the why, the mentality, and I think
right,
I'm gonna use Kobe and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan as an example in this pieces
the
because
goats.
what made them so great was the fact that they were able to stay so present in the moment.
Mm,
Not any, don't let any distractions from the outside or any. They were key honed in into that moment because the
yeah,
minute
man.
you focus on something else while you're trying to achieve something, you're not going at it 100% anymore. You know? And I try. That's what I've been doing for so long, and I just wanted to, it's been a rough year, this year personally. So I wanted to do something to pat myself on the back, which I felt like I needed to slow down at this point, do that, enjoy it before I recharge and go for the next 100.
Super important, man. Definitely. I'm a person that I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I'm never hesitant to be proud of me. I'm never
Mm-hmm.
hesitant to throw flowers for myself, and I never, because if you don't love yourself, if you don't appreciate yourself for the effort you put forth to accomplish your dreams,
Yeah,
I mean, who does? You know what I mean? Most people are living a pretty mediocre existence because they're scared to risk it. So appreciate yourself for taking that risk. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Putting that weight on your shoulders. Most people, when they chase a dream, they gotta. I'm sure in your case, you got two kids, you got the
Yeah,
house, you got a career, you got other things going on. So it takes a special type of individual to put himself in that position of, you know what, I got all these things on my plate. That's no excuse though. I'm gonna go after what I want because these are the reasons to do that. These are my motivations to do that. Not my excuses not to do that. You know what I mean? So
ex-
hey,
exactly.
kudos, man. It's for me. It's one thing because I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have those responsibilities yet. So I can dive
Mhm.
into the work, and I don't really have anybody to answer to. But when you have
And I
those
kind of envy you,
responsibilities,
man, because you're able to put that extra oomph to it when you don't, because
yeah,
you do have to work life balance. You do have to find like that really a really nice little sweet spot where you're
Mm,
giving both sides equally the amount that you need to give it. But
for sure.
and I got to thank my wife because she gives me the time to, when I'm creating or I go to the studio or I'm doing something or I'm producing something for somebody else. She knows, like, oh, he's in his zone, let him do his thing, and when he's back home, he's back home. So you definitely have to find not the balance, but a sweet spot where
Mm,
where you're able to meet your expectations and also put enough time where
right.
you're able to be there for the people who matter for you.
100%. Yeah, that's. Let me tell you, you got a great partner because I've met many people who, unfortunately, they're with somebody and they're buying into a vision that they see of themselves, and they're doing it for their family, and for whatever reason, their spouse doesn't buy into the vision and doesn't see it. So I've seen, unfortunately, divorces and things like that happen
Mm.
because someone is pursuing a dream and the other person is just not with it because they don't have that long term vision. So kudos to you, man. Seriously, that's fantastic that you have a partner that sees it and is willing to put
She actually
in
has
put in the
more
work.
belief in me. I think that's what, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I think is the fact that I still have my 9 to 5, which that career is going fantastic, But she knew that that's not me. She knows where my passion. COVID hit. People were like, "Oh my
Right.
God, COVID hit." I was like, "Oh snap, COVID hit! It's time." So I went back to school. In the time that COVID was here, I got a different degree in media and communication. I plotted out how I'm going to do the show. I concentrated on my craft. I took time to close everything off and learn about editing, audio, software, everything. So I wanted to step my game up, and it was an opportunity because there's nothing else to do. So it's
Mm,
either people view it as like, oh man, I can't go out, I can't do it. I saw it as an opportunity um,
mm.
to better myself, and then when we came back, I was gonna come back stronger than ever, more
Oh yeah.
enlightened, with more talent, more skills, everything. So yeah, it's my wife did the assessment. She was like, I don't think you're truly happy at your job. And I was like, no, I'm not. I like doing this. This is what I'm into. So from day one, she's always pushed me, um, and we've reaped some of those rewards now. Now that we got the house, so it's been a blessing.
That's fantastic, man. I'm really happy for you. It's something I aspire to do one day. Hopefully I can find a woman that can stand me one day, and and she'll have a few kids with me, and we'll live happily ever after. So there's
Well,
nothing more
if
beautiful than that.
if you know it's easy to date women, right? It's easy to have a relationship. Those things are easy. It's harder to find a partner because there's a
Mm,
difference between being with someone and being having a partner. Because at the end of the day, your wife ends up being your friend, your confidant, your consigliere, everything, all in one.
mm.
And if she doesn't match you, then there's an issue. If she doesn't see your vision, if she doesn't believe in you, and then you have to reciprocate that also. You have to be able to tell your
Right.
wife, "Hey, I think maybe you should take a chance, do this," um, and be honest. Like if she wants to be a graphic designer, if she doesn't have the skill set for it, be honest. Say, "Hey, maybe we should do this
Mm,
and this and this to take you to this level."
yeah. 100%.
Mhm.
Another thing that's missing in today's society is honesty, man. We're so afraid of hurting people's feelings that we don't say the truth anymore. You know what I mean? And I think that's
Mhm.
the most one of the most inconsiderate things you can do is
Mhm.
not be honest with people, because you're not doing them you're doing them a disservice by lying to them, by being nice and being like, no, I think no, tell them the truth. They're not good enough. But the good news is you can become good enough. You know what I mean? If you put in
Yeah,
the work. You know,
you just gotta have
I'm with.
this. You gotta have that passion. Honestly, like
Mm,
if you don't have passion for something and you don't you're not willing to drive yourself crazy to achieve that goal that you have, then maybe you're not 100% into it. Um,
mm.
and the self belief also has to match the passion. Like
Oh,
you,
100%. You got to believe it
you
when nobody believes it, you know?
because the amount of no's you're gonna get, it's always a lot more than the yeses.
Oh yeah.
And I've gotten a ton of no's. I've gotten like, hey, maybe you should try to do something else. Maybe this is not for you. And when we're talking about honesty, my friends, they are honest, but they'll say, hey, this content right now, I wouldn't watch it. But maybe if you try this or that or this or that, like that's the type of honesty that you need around you. Because
100%.
fooling
Yeah.
someone and just being like, yeah, that's great. Oh my God. You're not really trying to improve that person in any way, shape, or form.
100%. I'm with you, man. It's not about destroying the person's dream. It's about letting them know where they're at and what it's going to take to get to where they want to go. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, because some people don't, it's not their fault. Sometimes they don't really understand what it takes to get to, here. And sometimes they don't know they're here and they want to get here. So you got to tell them, listen, this is how
Hey,
far you got to
you're
go,
further apart than what you think, but you could get
Yeah,
there. It's just going to take a lot more sacrifice. And if
exactly.
you're really willing to make that sacrifice, then me as a friend, I will be here for you, and I will be here pushing you. So, 100%. And
I'm
you
that
also
guy, man.
you gotta put people around you that aren't doing as good as you, but are doing better than you.
Mm,
And
facts.
you also gotta have people around you that man, I was listening to Dame Dash the other day. Um, and you also gotta have people around you that if you're negative and your point of view is like, oh, that's not gonna work, and that's your response, oh, that's not gonna work, then that's not someone that needs to be in your camp. The
Mm,
person that needs to be in camp is like, that might not work, but maybe this will. So
this will. Yep.
I've always managed, because that's what I do in my 9 to 5. It's cool to bring problems, but also have some type of idea to what the solution can be.
Mm,
And don't lock yourself into that space where you're only seeing the issue and not the solution. Um,
100%.
it's always about vision and how you see things.
100%. Yeah, I'm with you. You got to be solution oriented because it's real easy to point out the problem. What's not easy and what's not common is people who are focusing on solutions. I try to tell people that a problem by nature has a solution or else it wouldn't exist. So
Exactly.
let's find it together, If you put two heads together, it's better than one.
Mhm.
Solutions are out there. We just got to find them.
Exactly. So how you been, man? Are
Definitely.
you looking good? I love the set.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you,
the
man.
set. You know what would have been great if you would have wore the shirt where Tony.
The
That's
red
from the
shirt
scene. Yeah, that's from the scene where
in the hotel at
he
the
just
sunray.
barely got
Yeah.
out of the hotel and he gets back.
That's a good
And
one. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna buy it.
oh
I'm
my
gonna go.
god, because when I saw the background, I was like, I know exactly where that's from in the movie. It's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
So
see
I'm
it for
like,
like I do a Halloween episode and I get a bunch of wackos in here and we all dress up like I'm Tony and one's Manny and one's Frank and one's Elvira.
Frank, that's right. Frank's trying to see if Tony's alive at that point. He gets shot in the
Yeah,
arm and he shows up. And that's
yeah,
where
yeah. And this is
that's
the
where he's like,
background in the
yeah.
dealer. Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? That's the point where Tony was like, you know what? You really ain't fit to lead
Mm.
at this point, and I think that I should just take matters into my own hands.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
and I want to thank you because I used to watch the movie and enjoy it. Now I watch the movie and I break it down just like you do. Like it's interesting because you watch the movie from a different set of eyes. You don't watch it
Oh
from
yeah.
a drug dealer that's killing his boss at that point.
Yeah.
You're trying to break down the myth and the logic behind it, and his train of thought. Uh, but Tony had his flaws too.
Oh yeah. Ego out of control.
Yeah,
Ego on steroids, man. That's I appreciate that, man. That brings warmth to my heart. That's what I want people to understand, that you can find inspiration in anything. For me,
Mhm.
I watched that movie as a kid, and I saw so many positive things. And it's funny that we're bringing it full circle because my main quote that I got from the movie is "Every dog has his day,"
Mhm.
and it was. It's funny because when we did your interview, I had told you what I thought about that. What I had said was,
Mhm.
"Every dog has his day," meaning now it's your turn. Pah, it's over.
Yeah.
And then I remember what you said, and what you said I loved. You said no, but also it's the dog, like the underdog, like it's
Mhm.
my turn. You know what I mean? So yeah, I
That's how I
love
viewed
that
it at that
film.
point.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I let me tell you, because I'm writing another book that has to do with the movie. It's more of a manual than it is the lessons I learned from it. It's more like the rule book. This was more like a memoir of like the things I learned and how I applied them as a kid. And then now I'm coming out with the actual manual, like the rules, like the Scarface laws. So every time I go back and I watch the movie through a different perspective, I learn something new. And that's just being, like I said, you can find inspiration in anything, in absolutely anything. And I think as long as we stay open minded as humans, that spark and that that like little moment of knowing what's possible
Mhm.
is in all of us. It's just a matter of staying open minded.
Yeah, and also like I don't think people were blessed with the gift. I mean, what the way you see the movie is a gift, believe it or not, because
Thank you.
you're only seeing that for this particular film.
Right, right.
I'm 100% correct. If we pop another tape in, or well, these days we don't pop tapes in anymore. We just stream it. If we put another film on,
Right.
you'll see, because simple-minded people see things in the surface.
Oh yeah.
Intellectual people dig deeper into what it is and what the meaning is, and that lets me know when you sent me the book and when we went over it on the show. Um, that lets me know that that's a gift that Nelson has. Nelson doesn't see things the way other people do, and some people might say, "Hey, that's I don't think that's a gift," but to me, it is, because it's a unique perspective, and perspective is something that we need in this world, because you need to see things from different lenses in order to relate to everybody, because not everybody's going to have the same opinion on things.
Mm.
So, uh, I have a friend. They have a podcast where they watch films and then they critique it. They've ruined some movies for me. You know,
So don't watch it. Let me guess. The name of this podcast is called Spoiler Alert.
no, 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 no. It ruined it in the sense where some movies that I've watched as a child, they sit back and they watch it from the perspective of adults.
Mm,
I'm gonna give you an example. Ace Ventura, right? Funny movie, people
okay.
love it, right? I don't want to mess it up for you now, but if you really watch the movie, you start thinking, man, Ace Ventura is kind of an asshole. He's kind of a dick. Excuse my French. I don't know if we could curse up on here,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. You're in friendly
you
territory. No worry.
you watch the movie, and when we did the episode, I watched it afterwards, and I was like, man, these guys are kind of right. And they broke down different scenes. With Scarface, after the book and after our interview, I saw it a little different, and I got different messages from it. I've always loved the film itself. I think Pacino did an outstanding job, and I just think the authenticity. It was truly like Cuban culture at its
Oh
finest,
yeah,
and Miami. And I think Brian De Palma did an amazing
bro.
job
I'm
with the
getting
film.
chills, man. Like, yeah, man. It's we don't get showcased like that very often. And for an Italian to do that, to really
Hmm.
buy into our culture, and even the way he spoke Spanish in that one scene when they were up in New York putting the bomb under the car,
Yeah.
you couldn't. A Cuban thought he was Cuban. You know what I mean? If you didn't know who Al Pacino was, you would think he was Cuban. He did an immaculate job, man. Immaculate,
Even the
immaculate.
scene where Manolo's telling him, "Hey, we gotta ice somebody here in the camp," and he's like,
Mm.
"Revenga," and he's like, "Revenga, coño, man, I know that name." So just the
Right?
way Pacino you flip that, and
Yeah.
it's like beautifully. You know how we talk in Spanish. Well, I'm Dominican, but
But right.
we talk with a little bit of a. It's more of a like a song where
Right.
Cubans are the same way. Like it's kind of a rhythm of the way we speak, and he
Mm.
just hit it on the perfect notes on that. Coño, man, I know that name. just like that.
Perfect.
There's other
It
scenes too
came out
where,
so natural, like
Mhm.
so boom. It's
And then
amazing.
just his face, you could kind of feel like he's thinking back, like, damn, where do I know this name from?
mm,
So that's the powerful thing about Pacino. Like, they say acting is when you can let the audience into what's going on inside your mind, but just with your expressions on your
oh
face,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's how you could tell there's a great actor in the film.
Super dope. Yeah, and it's funny that we're talking about this. The 40-year anniversary of Scarface is in December.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it came out 40
Wow.
years ago this December, and they're actually doing. I'm probably gonna end up going. They're doing a special event with Al Pacino in the Fountain Blue here in Miami Beach. So
Hmm. I've
I
been in
might
the
end up
Fountain
going to
Blues.
that because yeah. It's that's something special, 40-year anniversary. And think about this, the movie's been out 40 years, and I remember last year they finally let it air on Netflix, and it was top 10 for the whole, like, the I don't know how long, and the movie was 40 years old. You know what I mean? How prevalent is a film in culture to where it's 40 years old and people are still watching it and still, consuming it at that rate? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's one of those films that so I used to collect VHSs and DVDs, and those are one of the ones that you have to have in that collection. And
Yeah.
I could watch it, maybe like 2 or 3 times a day if I have to, or
Yeah.
it's something I could pop in every night and watch. That Goodfellas, The Godfather, all three of them.
Yeah, the classics, Casino, you already
Carlito's
know.
Way,
Yeah.
Casino, Heat. Um,
Yeah. Yo, Heat, that scene when Pacino and De Niro are in the cafeteria. Oh man. What?
this
That's a
uh, a friend of mine, Harry Spears, he does a beautiful bit um,
I've seen
about
it.
that
Yeah, he
on
does
his
a bit
stand
on super
up.
crazy how good he does it. Crazy.
And he says how epic that scene is to him, like, and what it meant to him, and that's why he does the bit, and he does it just like, he mimics them very well, De Niro and Pacino, but just
Oh
that
yeah.
play on each other, like, so in that scene they realize how alike they are, you know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, I respect you, but at the end of the day, at the bottom line, I have to put you away, basically. But yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of those films.
No, that he's like, if I gotta decide between some dude that you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you going down.
Yeah.
There's a flip side to that coin, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that right there,
Yo, killed it, man.
and
Killed
and
it. Yeah,
basically,
those
yeah,
are
I'm the same dude. I have this. I know exactly what you need to do, and I know. I just want to let you know I would do the same thing, and that's basically what they're telling each other in that scene. It's fantastic.
right.
Green film.
Right. Yeah. That's another classic. And to be real, that's a underrated film because it's it's well known and it's acclimated and everything, but that's it. They say Godfather Part Two and everything, and that's probably one of the greatest films of all time. But Heat, it has to be up there because
They
it's
never
not the
actually
typical
in part two. I think Heat was the first time they were working on the
right on
film
screen together. Yeah,
together,
yeah,
on screen, on set. Because when they did
right.
The Godfather 2, they filmed the scenes in Italy and Sicily apart, and that's where De Niro was in the film. And then Pacino, because it's like one of those films that goes back and forth. So they never
Yeah,
really shared the screen together. But in Heat, that was the first time, and I think they've done The Righteous Kill, and they've done a couple more afterwards.
yeah. You're right. Yeah, yeah. Later in the career, yeah, they've done a couple things together.
Mhm.
But yeah, Heat is definitely underrated, especially since it's not typically within the realm of what they used to do, which is the mobster movies. It was more like a cops and robbers type of thing, and yeah, that's super. You know what's funny? Since we're on the subject, have you seen a TV series called The Offer?
The Offer, yes, I have. Fantastic. It's
It
about
was about how they
Reading.
made The Godfather.
Yeah, Reading. He was one of these famous LA producers, and it tells his story on how he was trying to make The Godfather. And the Godfather film itself is fantastic, but to hear the story on everything he had to go through to make sure the film got done,
Oh
even
yeah.
meeting with mobsters in New York
Right.
and
And getting
removing the
threatened
movie
like, yo,
mob,
don't.
yeah, removing the word mafia from the film as a because I didn't know that till I saw the show.
Yeah.
They
Never
never
noticed.
mentioned it. Mhm.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's a
The
great show.
scene, like, yeah, those behind the scenes stories and how what it took to put that film together, how many times it almost didn't get made.
Hmm.
The fact that he was a no-name producer and he walked on a Hollywood set and was like, "Listen, I'm the man. I'm gonna put this together." And the guy was like, "Who are you?" And bro, it was super badass. I highly recommend it to everybody watching. Super great series. It's and so many
He
different
went on to
personalities.
be
Fantastic
he went out outrunning went on to be one of the most famous producers of all time.
in Hollywood.
If,
Yeah.
yeah, in Hollywood, if you just look at some of the films that he made, and you'd be like, no way, the guy that made Godfather made this and made that. The Longest Yard. He did Hogan's Heroes. That's how he actually got his start with Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
And he's done a couple. He did Million Dollar Baby. So he's done a couple of fantastic films.
That's the art of storytelling, man. It's such a special art. That's why I started writing. That's why I do podcasting because it's storytelling. There's such a magic to it. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
touches the human soul in such a special way, and there's no other way to portray a message better than telling a story from one human to another, whether it's a film, a book, a TV show, whatever it is that you use to portray a message. Like when you tell a story, that's why they're so successful, right? When as long as you have the good story, you know, that's all that
The
matters. You know.
stories stick with people. So
Oh yeah.
the reason why, think of some of the best stand-up comics. That's one of my favorite things. When you're a comic that tells a story, and then you drop the joke at the end, you're
Mm,
just like the greatest do it, Dave Chappelle,
yeah.
and he proved it where he started a joke at the beginning of the special and said, "I'm gonna make you guys laugh at the end of the special. I'm gonna finish this joke at the end." Finished the joke at the end, and everybody was dying of laughter.
Killed it.
So
Yeah.
people relate to stories. Stories stick with you forever because you know you're like, "Oh man, that's such an interesting story," and then you want to share that with somebody else. So that's the reason why I started podcasting too. I wanted to know the why, like
Yeah.
what got this person to where they are. Uh, Osmani Rodriguez, he's a director, right? Oz is the director for Saturday Night Live, so one of the oldest sketch comedy shows on television, probably
Mm,
the sketch comedy show on television. And Oz is half Cuban, half Dominican, but nobody knows that. So, like me growing up and wanting to be in the creative industry, if I wanted to be a director, that would be someone I should know his story. So when I started the pod, I was like, I'm going to interview people like Oz Rodriguez to allow him to tell his story and maybe inspire somebody who does want to be a director in the future. And then there's like Manny Perez, Jesse Terrero. These are all guys I looked up to, and the
mm,
reason I would bring them on the show is I wanted to know where they came from, how did they get that inspiration, that what made them tick, what made them all of a sudden wanted to chase, being a Hollywood director or a video director, and please tell me what are some of the obstacles you went through because maybe the person that's listening or watching could bypass that. Now we live in different generations. This generation
mm.
might have different obstacles than that
Then
generation
you
back
did.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lesson there that you can probably learn. And if you're someone that's intelligent and you hear the trials and tribulations somebody else went through, you try to avoid those. Um, then it'll help you. It'll help you move you forward. Plus, those people serve as inspiration. Like,
Oh yeah.
um, you see someone that looks like you, talks like you, is from your same neighborhood, and has risen to a it's not about money with me. It has risen to a position of power to where they basically dictate what they want to do when they want to do. So that's the dream. That's the goal. You want to be able
Oh
to
yeah,
maintain yourself. You always want to make money, but you want to do something that you love because it wouldn't feel
of
like
course.
work. So that's why I started
Money is really
podcasting.
just a result of doing
Yep.
that. You know what I mean? Of chasing that dream and like being excellent. Money's
Mhm.
gonna be there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Money's just a result of being excellent. You know,
Yeah. It, it's it's
it's like a
it's kind of
default.
like an illusion though. Like it's a piece of paper. That's what it is. So if
Yeah.
you're doing something, oh, I need to be a millionaire. Let me get pocket. There's money in podcasting now. 80% of advertisement is going to podcasting. Let me just
Mm,
start podcasting because this is the trend. Is what to do. You're not gonna make it. You're honestly not gonna make it because your focus, your drive is in the wrong area.
mm,
Um, as soon as those no's and it gets tough and it gets difficult, and you're not booking the guests you want, you know,
mm,
I'll just move on to something else. And that's not really having a fire or passion for something. And
100%.
money is not the end all be all for me. Um, and I've been podcasting for 6 years now. The first check I saw from my show was last year, um, around May of last year. A big company, Infinity, the car company, they were the first one to cut me my first check. And I had worked for 5 years consistently, and it felt good to have to run ads for those big agencies, those big companies. But it wasn't, it was good. I was happy. Everybody gets
Oh yeah,
happy when they receive a check.
definitely.
But for me it was certifying that what I was doing was valid and people saw value in it. Um,
100%.
and it just kept adding to that, self belief and me patting me in the back, like, hey,
Mm,
McDonald's wants to run ads on my show, then I must be doing something correct, or
100%.
those text messages that I get, or the other podcasters that reach out and ask me for advice. I'm in a position now where I always shied away from it. People were like, "Oh yeah, Rick knows a lot about it. Why don't you talk to him?" But I'm in the spot where I'm at the point where now I could give back. I could talk to people. I could what I've learned I could pass down to somebody else, and that's
And
where
that's
you
the
want to
purpose.
get
That's
to.
the meaning.
That's the
That's the
get.
reason behind everything. You know.
So thank God that I'm here, man, and I look forward to seeing you grow, man. Look, it was a book. It was a book, right? Then it was a show, and you launched it perfectly, by the way.
Thank you.
And here you are, a year later. I think you're almost a year in, right? This season two.
Yeah, I just hit 1 year anniversary. Yep. Yep.
And now, like, when you started this, a year has flown by already, and you're at a different level, and you're going to continue to level up.
Yep. Just get better. Get better
Hmm.
with time, you know. Learn, always learning, always stay open minded, always listen to other people, only specifically and exclusively listen to people who are where I want to be, not
Hmm.
people who don't have the results, right? Because
A thousand
if you
percent.
don't, if yeah, like I'll listen to you if you give me podcast advice. I'll listen to people if I want to be a platinum selling artist. I'm gonna listen to somebody who's been in the music industry and has had those results. If I want to be a top athlete, I'm gonna read Kobe Bryant's book and I'm gonna go find professional athletes. You know what I mean? If you want to make money and be a business person, don't listen to people without money. you know, it's it's I don't know,
I mean,
man. I
there's
I get it.
so let me ask you this question, right? If I'm
Yeah.
someone who wants to make a lot of money, and
Mm.
Elon Musk is a billionaire, is that someone I should listen to really at this point? He's invested all his money in this company, and
It
he's
is
taking.
who you should listen to, and I understand what you're asking because that conversation might fly over your head, right? Because
Yeah.
the richest when you're broke and you're trying to take advice on business from the richest man in the world,
Yeah.
yes, that's the advice you want, right? That's the result you want. And at the same time, are you ready to receive that advice is the question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is it going to fall on deaf ears? There's levels, there's levels. So it's
we have 5 people sitting at a table, right? You could sit with one.
okay.
I'm not going to put Warren Buffett in there because that's the easy go-to. You have Musk, you have Zuckerberg, you have Jay-Z,
Mm.
you have Carlos Slim, and you have Prince from Dubai. I forgot the guy's name. In your shoes, right? Who do you feel you would be able to receive? Who would deliver the message? First of all, yes, they could give you the advice, but they got to deliver it in a way where you be able to receive it and accept it,
Mm.
and where you can connect to it. So in that dinner, would you be like, "Hey, no, see you later, guys. I'm gonna just, get a nightcap with, Hove here."
So that's a good one. What I would do is I would look for something specific each person did and ask them specifically about that area. So for instance, Hove is a master like marketer, master.
Mhm.
So I would try to dive into his brand and marketing and things like that. With Zuckerberg, I think he's just good at dominating an industry. So how do you become that? With Musk, it's more like how do you come up with so many good ideas? Because he has Tesla and he has SpaceX and now he bought
Mhm.
Twitter. So he's like in so many realms. So I think they're all good and they're all good for different reasons. Like they all have a superpower. You know what I mean? And the Prince of Dubai, I mean, I would just be like, yo, let's just go hang out for an afternoon or something. There's no real advice he could give me besides just give me a baller tour of the yacht and the house and
Mhm.
the 27 Rolls Royces he's got. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. You know what? I think those Arab families over there, they're probably the richest people in the world. It's just not documented. They have to be way richer
Yeah,
than like Bezos. You know what I mean? They were trillions.
I mean, they focus on generational wealth.
Mm,
They continue to make money, and they keep that money within the family, and it just continues growing. And what they do
right.
is, if the son is there, and well, here's your piece of the wealth, don't fuck it up, double it,
Mm,
because then he's doubling it, she's doubling it, the father's doubling it, so they grow together.
mm,
I'm
exactly.
more of an analytical person. The reason why I would look where someone started and where they are and where they're going. So if I'm
Mm,
sitting at that table, okay, the Prince of Dubai, money's been in his family for years. So
right. For
I'll just,
generations.
it's very nice to meet you. He's not going to teach me nothing because he didn't make it himself. He
There
had
you
a
go.
head start, right? Uh, Zuckerberg, not that he was rich, but he was in Harvard. Like,
Mm,
he must have did something right, and someone must have helped him out to get into Harvard. Musk is good, but my issue with him is he's allowing his ego to bring him down. Right? He made
how so?
a When he bought Twitter, I thought it was very smart. I thought that it was perfect because someone that wasn't we need less censorship. That was correct on his behalf. But I think that he's growing an ego now, and anytime you grow an ego, you start to see things, you start to see cracks in the business.
Mm,
So that's my assessment of him. Not to say that he's not intelligent. The man has to be.
right. Right. Right.
He's beyond the reason why I would stick with Hove is the man was selling crack in Brooklyn projects, went from there to where he is now, and I'm guessing in 2 years he's gonna be double what he's worth now. And
Mm,
the blueprint he has is a blueprint that I'm pretty sure Musk and Zuckerberg had to a certain extent. But
right.
he made his money, assessed the people around him, was like, okay, I'm at a certain level now. I'm not going to get to that next level where I want to get to if I keep this circle as it stands, you know.
Right.
and he made an assessment of the people around him. The You by yourself are never going to get anywhere. You need people around you,
100%.
and you need the correct people around you. If those people, Tony Yayo, right? I was just watching this episode on Drink
He's
Champs.
been podcasting lately. He's been like on everybody's show. He's been on Mike Tyson and this one and that one.
Well,
He's been on
because the
everybody's show.
man's a great storyteller. He's funny, but he's. I find him very intelligent. They were asking him, "Why are you so loyal?" And he's like, "Because not everybody's built to be the main guy. Sometimes you gotta know yourself and know this is my role." And he's like, he's Haitian, so he talks about his Haitian upbringing, and he says, I lived with 50, and I lived on 50's couch with his wife and his first kid there. And to me, my friendship is so valuable. I should be able to be around your wife and your kid, and you have nothing to worry about, because they shouldn't. Jealousy should not exist between friends. I shouldn't, you know. So in my culture, in the Dominican culture, they want you to do better, but not better than them. So if that's one of your boys, that's good, Rick. You got an award. That's nice, but you can't surpass me. Then that's not the type of person you want around you. I started podcasting 6 years ago. I have friends that started a year or two, and their show. Look at Chicken and Melanie. They started in November. We're in July, and their show is way better than mine already, numbers wise, content wise, and there's not an ounce of jealousy in my body. I'm very happy for my guy, and that's why those are the type of people that you need around you. You need Not only do you need to know yourself, believe in yourself, but your friends need to know who they are as well, and not have that jealousy exist in that circle. So, it's one of the many reasons why I've always admired Hov and the trajectory that he's taken to get to where he's at.
Definitely, 100%. And if we're being real, not just you, I probably have more in common with Hov than anybody else at that table. So I definitely, I'm with you 100%. To go from selling crack in Brooklyn to being a billionaire, it's a great story, right? Let's go full circle, right? The story, it's priceless, man. But it goes back to, are you ready to learn that information? So what I would say, if we're staying on the subject, then someone who is trying to capture information, I think you should look a few levels above you and then learn from that. And then once you're at that level, go a few more levels above you and learn from that. Like, don't try to learn calculus if you don't know how to add and subtract. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's levels. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, there is levels, and sometimes you are able to be in the presence of certain people that are a few levels above you, and they will drop a nugget that you got to be ready to take it. And you got to be able to pay attention. Like, even Steve Harvey said, we're talking about levels. He was being interviewed somewhere, and he mentioned a good friend of his who's very wealthy. He's just not well known. So Steve was like, the best advice I ever got was, if I'm trying to do a show and I want to aim to have 3,000 people here, my friend told me, well, Steve, why 3? Why are you aiming for 3? Why don't you aim for 30? So he's like, always level up what that goal is. And, like right now, let's say I want to shoot for 300 episodes. If realistically I shoot for 1,000, I might end up with more than 300. So that's why that advice is so key, because your goals should scare the shit out of you. Your dreams should scare the shit out of you.
Yep.
And the best day is when you achieve them and that dream has died, and now you have to have another dream. So level up is something. That's why I like to watch these interviews. I always get something from somewhere, and it always sticks with me. And I've sort
100%.
of created my own little manual, and that's why I admire you so much, because you saw one film and you took lessons from it, and you build your own mantra and your own thing, and you put it down on paper. nothing is real until you put it on paper, and now
Oh yeah,
it's tangible. You can hold it, you can see it, you can read it. So yeah,
100%. Yeah, man. That's real, for real, for real. It's an idea is worth nothing unless you put action into it. You know what I mean?
hmm
It's just pipe dreams. There's a great quote by Miyamoto Musashi. He was the greatest samurai that ever lived. He said, "Action without vision is a nightmare, and vision without action is a daydream."
hmm
You gotta take action behind what you're dreaming about, and also you can't just do with no plan because you're just
yep.
spinning your wheels. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's
That's a
that's
good
what
quote.
I always try to do. I try to take one step at a time, even if it's a small step, because small steps is progress. Small progress is progress. You know?
They lead to bigger ones,
Oh
and
yeah, 100%.
it's a ladder. Like I always say, there's a couple things. A ladder. So small steps. Each step has a goal. You should. The main goal is the one that's on top of that ladder. But you're not gonna jump from the first step all the way to 10. You got to go up
Mm,
that ladder. Um, but you got to keep that focus and that drive. And then once you're on top of the mountain, then you could bask in it a little bit. All right, what's next? Where's the next ladder I
mm.
have to go up? So that's where I feel like I'm at this point. Um, I started this show 6 years ago, and now I'm at the point where I'm taking it in because I know this is going to be my last hurrah on this show before I plan my next move or my next um,
Mm.
strategic move. And now with the network, I'm able to recruit, look for, because when I go on podcasts or I watch podcasts or I listen to podcasts, uh, I see if there's the potential there, and if there is, I want to help that person grow.
Mm.
I'm not one of these people that like, oh, I like what they're doing. Let me go over there. Let me take advantage of it. No, that's couldn't be furthest from the truth. There's these two young ladies. They have a show called Talk Your Shit. I think they have great content. They have a great idea for a show, and they just got to keep pushing. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I want to help build the next set of leaders behind me.
That's amazing, brother. What I mean, paying it forward. That's ultimately that's what it's about. It's about leaving a legacy. You know what I mean? So that's powerful. What I love seeing the evolution of a person, right? So going back to a story, what makes stories so great is you see, so there's only one difference between a hero and a villain. So the villain, the world does something to the villain, and the villain says, "All right, the
hmm
world did this to me. Now I'm gonna make everybody else pay. The world is gonna pay for my suffering." The hero, what he says is, "The world hurt me. I'm suffering. I'm gonna make sure nobody else goes through
The
this."
next person
Right?
doesn't feel it. Yeah.
So you go through it, and then the hero part of his evolution is he realizes he's not enough to slay the dragon, and then he keeps transforming himself until he kills the dragon and chops off his head.
hmm
So that's what it is. It's like the story of that person evolving, and then he becomes the counselor or the wise man that comes to the hero that's coming up, and he's like, "All right, let me help you, let me guide you, because I was the hero once. The legend they tell of this is of me." So that's really the purpose, man. Just giving back, and I think helping others accomplish their dreams. There's no better gift than that, man. There really is. Like guiding someone through that process of doing what you did and helping them accomplish their dream, it takes you back, and you know it's personal. If it's close to the heart and the soul, because you were that person and you know what it felt to like have no direction and
Yeah.
have no mentorship and figure it out on your own, and to be able to be that guiding light, for someone else. That has to be part of the meaning of life. You know what I mean? For
I mean,
sure.
the gratification you get is
Mm,
priceless. I used to work for a nonprofit organization. I used to work with kids from kindergarten all the way through high school, and the money wasn't much, but the job was fantastic. You're able
mm.
to make impact on these kids' lives, and some of these kids came up from the same background that I did. So, um, just trying to be a role model to them, and giving them that advice that if they were lucky enough to take it and put it into action and avoid some of these roadblocks that you go through, um, yeah, it's nothing more rewarding. And the gratification that you get is priceless. Like, there's no words you could put to it. Uh, when you see you invested time into someone and that person is just blossoming,
Oh yeah.
and like I said, these two young ladies, and when I went on their show, I told them, you guys are going to be bigger than me in 2 years. And they were like, oh, stop playing, blah blah blah. And they've continued to evolve and continue to push the envelope, and I'm very happy for them both.
Mm, that's awesome, man. That's and inspiring people. That's what it's all about, right? That's why
Mm-hmm.
I did this. That's what I hope to do with the show. You know what I mean? That's all I want to do. Just I've decided my life's purpose is to pursue wisdom and share it with the world. So if one thing I say, one of my concepts, anything that comes out of my mouth can inspire somebody else, or any one of my actions that I did or someone I can teach can inspire somebody else, man, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
I
So
really like. I love it, and I love the clips, man. You always pick a really good pick, a really good pick for a promotion. You're obviously promoting your episode, but I think there's always something to take away from the clips that you post. So
thank you.
there's
I,
not much
I pick them
advice I could give
myself.
you, bro, because I feel there's not much advice I could give you because I feel like you know yourself, and you know your product, and you know how to go about it, and you know how to market yourself, and your self belief and your confidence is incredible. That's why every time you post a clip, I watch the reel because I want to hear. You usually throw something and then you give the explanation to it. I think there was a clip where we just said something a couple minutes ago where you had mentioned it on a clip before, and it was about not having a vision and vision without action or something similar to that effect.
Mm.
And I was like, man, you know, he's got something there with that one. So thank you for that, man.
No, thank you for your time, Rick. This was amazing. This was a fantastic episode. I always wrap up my podcast with just asking 3 questions. So
Let's go.
one, what inspires you?
Oof. At this point, my two kids. Um, it's a different feeling. Like, parents don't know what I'm talking about. Like, it's no longer about yourself; it's about them. And I constantly, in the back of my mind, I think like, what's their life gonna be like when I'm not here? And I hope that I prepared them enough, to fend for themselves, and I've done enough where they'll be okay. Um,
Mm.
but they're my inspiration. Oh, I'll tell you really quickly. The best part of my day is coming home from work. My two children always run to the door, daddy, daddy, daddy. It lasts 20 seconds because then they go back about their day. But
To
it's,
doing whatever.
yeah, they go back to playing their toys or watching TV. But whatever has gone through my day, once I walk through that door and I get that unconditional love from my two kids, it's special. And that's them and my wife. And I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy that my family was able to raise me to be the person that I am, and now I get to share that with my children.
It's fantastic, brother. Legacy, family, super important. It's probably the reason we do everything, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah. Question number 2. What's next for you?
This podcast network. So I'm super excited. 11 shows. That's your reality. I'm gonna drop a couple names. So that's your reality. Quien tú eres. These are the pods that are on the Rick A show, obviously. Uh, the Oddest Couple with Felix Levine and John Elite. And Felix Levine has his own show called Where's This Going? Felix Levine is the next Joe Rogan. So that's how I view this kid, how big I think he's going to be. Connected with John Rios, very good business show. Um, Made You Look with Mr. Commodore. Focus on the Stars with Mike and Don. Mike and Don run this group, which is the biggest agency for influencer and comedian talent. Pretty good management group. V. Henny, she has a show called The Artistry. If I'm forgetting one, I'm sorry. It's just there's one, but I can't really mention it right now. The Latinos Out Loud, obviously. I'll drop it here first. So Latinos Out Loud is the last one to round out the slate. So it's a really good slate. There's something in there for everybody. The only thing we're missing is a sports show, and I'm coming for one. Believe me.
You got a hell of a variety, man. Talk about evolution. There you go. Go from throwing a podcast on and becoming a top podcaster to owning a podcast network. Like, that's evolution, baby. At its best. I love it. All right, man. And question number 3, last question. How do you want to be remembered?
It's hard. Not something that I said, just the way I live my life, just a humble guy that tried to enjoy his life and did his best to improve others. And if my kids turn out to be amazing human beings, then what better way to be remembered than that? Like, those are Rick's kids. They're fantastic human beings still. Not about money, not about none of that. Just that. Like, I want somebody to think of me and just laugh or smile and think of a memory of something. That's the best gift you can get.
That's awesome, man. Rick, it was an honor having you on my show. You're welcome back anytime, my brother. I appreciate you.
My brother.
Definitely. Always showing love to my peeps up in New York. So,
when I'm in the 305, Nelson, I'm going to come see you, man.
Hey, pull up in the Montana mansion, boy. Let's go. All righty, guys. So that's another episode of the Montana Method Podcast. Your host, Nelson Rodriguez. Rick, how can they connect with you?
Sorry. At Rick Yarrow on Instagram, or the Rick A Show on Instagram. But if you want to send me a DM or you just want to ask a question about podcasting, at Rick Yarrow, I answer all my DMs. I speak to everybody. That's the best way to find me.
Awesome. All righty, guys. Signing out. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. And my friends, if you are not chasing a dream, life is meaningless. Until the next one.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.